Welcome into SBR's betting roundtable for Wednesday, December 20th, alongside Donnie Rightside, Ian Cameron, Jeff Nadeau. I am Drew Martin. We're going to be hitting on some NFL, college football, bowl season, college basketball, some Canadian sports as well. Guys, let's get right into it. Go right around the horn from right down to left. Ian Cameron, find him on Twitter at Babano. His work at sportsmemo.com. Ian, welcome in. How you doing today, buddy?
Just great. The countdown to Christmas is on. We've got lots of stuff to talk about. All sports in play. NFL's winding down. Regular season, just 2 weeks left. College football, bowl season, college basketball, NHL, NBA, you name it. We got it. Let's roll.
All right, man. Excited to hear your opinion on a lot of things. Next up, Jeff Nadeau. Find him on Twitter at Jeff Nadeau. Big man on campus. Welcome in, buddy.
Good to be with you, Drew. Have Merry Christmas, and to all the listeners, Merry Christmas.
All right, and his partner in crime, Donnie Rightside on Twitter at RightsideVP. Donnie, welcome in, man. How's business going? How's the sports betting industry treating you?
Yeah, business is booming, as Antonio Brown would say at this point in the season. But a lot of fun to be had last night. You had one standalone game last night. And who let the lane train get a free recruiting video last night? Get out there. A nice, easy, clean victory. What a season for FAU. What was their win total coming in the season? 3.5 or 4 games. The lane train secures a 10-year contract, which means absolutely nothing after next year. He will be gone from FAU. But sounds good on paper. And the lane train was rolling last night, fella.
Absolutely, man. And we got the early signing day period, which we might touch on a little bit in the college football section here on the roundtable. But guys, let's start off at the pro level. We got bet on fade teams in the NFL. Donnie, do you want to start us off with either a bet on or a fade team for the people?
Yeah, research has been really easy for me. I mean, if you've heard me from weeks and weeks back, I'm just going to keep it the same again. Something is clicking out in the Bay Area, and we're talking about Jimmy G heading over to San Francisco and being the starting quarterback, a straight-up competent franchise. It's amazing when you get out there, a.k.a. Cleveland Browns, when you get yourself a quarterback, a good quarterback, how much that can mask all other deficiencies that you have on your football team. They have a tough one this weekend. You're going to see a lot to see who Jimmy G is, who that offense is out in the Bay Area when Jacksonville Jaguars come to town with the Saxonville Jaguars. We'll see what they're made of here. I think Jimmy G can put up a fight in this one. I'm not just going to see them roll over in this one, but a bet on team that I've been preaching all season long, those San Francisco 49ers with Garoppolo quarterback.
Yeah, Jeff, I mean, do you have a bet on or a fade team or any comment to what Donnie was saying? I mean, it is a long trip across country.
No, I don't have a team, but I do agree on San Francisco. I've mentioned that as well. I think long term they're really set up well. They finally have their quarterback, and look, in this league, it's hard to find a quarterback. And look, they went out and made that happen. They kind of fleeced him from New England because at some point New England's going to need a quarterback. I think that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, look, defensively, they have a couple of players in place. They just have to go out and get some skill position players now. And they're going to have the opportunity to do that in a draft with bountiful resources. But yeah, I totally agree with Donnie. I think, they have a good leadership there. They have a good coach. We saw that in the Super Bowl, at least for most of that, with play calling and everything. I like Jimmy G a lot. I'm a big fan of his. I agree totally with Donnie.
And Ian, any comment on that or a bet on team for the NFL?
Well, I've been on this train with Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers for 3 straight weeks. They've been on client cards. They've been games I've bet personally. I mean, I've been riding the San Francisco team week in and week out, and it's been fantastic. I mean, and it's not so much that Jimmy Garoppolo finally gives the 49ers a quarterback that can actually throw and complete a forward pass. It's not just that. It's the energy level and the intensity level that his appearance in the huddle, his presence in the huddle has given that football team. I mean, you see energy now. You see the sideline excited. You see even the coach, Kyle Shanahan, showing more emotion in 3 games with Jimmy as his quarterback than he did at any point before that with the 2 stiffs before him, Hoyer and Beathard. So it's one of those situations where everybody's been galvanized. Everybody's been elevated by this move to bring in Jimmy Garoppolo at the quarterback spot, and you're seeing this team play well. I'll tell you what, right now, I know this is a totally bigger step up in class for San Fran here, playing Jacksonville after you played Chicago, Houston, and a Tennessee team that is as overvalued and fraudulent as far as I'm concerned as it gets right now. But I'm not stepping in front of San Francisco's way right now. Nope, not with the energy they're playing with. Jacksonville now Do they bounce possibly after clinching the division? That's going to be an interesting game to see. That's a San Fran or pass kind of spot for me. A team to bet on for me potentially. Do I dare go to the New York Giants, the New York Football Giants here this week? Because I'll tell you what, 2 straight losses. I know to Dallas, a tough one, no question about that. And then the Philadelphia game, but they've given those 2 teams fits the last couple of weeks. And now you look at this Arizona team, favored at home, another crippling loss, find a way to lose team lately under Bruce Arians. And now you go to Drew Stanton at quarterback, who to me is not no good. I mean, when he was in there earlier this season, he didn't play well. He has not played well for extended stretches at any point. I don't trust him at the quarterback spot for this Arizona team laying points at home. That's all there is to it. So I'm going to try to dig a little deeper, find a way to get on the New York Giants this week because I just don't trust Drew Stanton-led Arizona as a favorite here this week.
All right, so Arizona and San Francisco for bet on teams. Guys, welcome in. Looking at the chat box right here, we got Brady coming in from Colorado Springs, Donnie manning up the chat box, so feel free to chime in anything you want to hear. And please, if you're liking the content, give us a thumbs up, a like button. It helps us out a lot. But Donnie, what about fade teams? Anything catching your eye in the NFL?
As Ian would say, you're going back, you want to add some music to this. Fade them up, fade them up, fade them up, fade them. Now sitting at minus 220 on the season, and I do have to credit the big man holding a ticket there. Will a team go 0-16? You goddamn right they will in Cleveland. Now you're looking at a game and you say, you know what? This is a game again where, some of the sharps are jumping. I saw it last week again. Hey, sharps on Cleveland, the right move. Not. You lost your money again. All right. Now the Christmas miracle is going to come, right? The Cleveland Browns. I mean, Chicago. Who's Chicago, right? Mitchell Trubisky, young quarterback. They're banged up and injured, and they're favored by 7 points. You want to jump right back on that Cleveland bandwagon. Good luck. The worst coach in NFL history matched up with the most inept quarterback, maybe, or I should say pocket awareness quarterback in NFL history. If there's one thing, a prop bet out there that you might be able to get on Cleveland, will they fumble in their own end zone and be recovered by Chicago for a touchdown? I'll take that prop bet that it will happen once again against the Cleveland Browns. They are not winning a football game to end the season. I'm not even sure they even hang around this game. Do they want to go on Christmas Eve and go to Chicago and play in the Windy City where it's cold? Check out Hugh Jackson says, you know what? The GM just said I'm good for next year. The hell do I care if I win this game?
Great point, Donnie. I mean, Jeff, what kind of follow-up do you have to that? He's giving you a shout-out with the 0-16 prop.
Well, yeah. I mean, 11.5 to 1. I'm looking forward to it. I got 2 games left. And look, it's not so much we know Cleveland shit on offense, but you look at on defense. I mean, they've been awful, too, on the road. And listen, Chicago's been kind of tough to beat. I mean, they're 4-2 against the spread at home. They haven't won games, but those were against much better teams. Cleveland's a mess. They're a lot. I thought with this prop I'd be dealing with the Jets. Yeah, I thought Cleveland could be an option here, but again, I wasn't sure. But yeah, Cleveland's been dreadful. They have to really play a perfect game. It's almost like when a 16 seed faces a 1 seed. They literally have to play a perfect game to win, and none of them have ever have, and neither is Cleveland. It just looks like they're so inept to win a game. And guys, I mean, it's pretty amazing how bad Cleveland's really been. I mean, they're in their last 46 games, they're 4-42. They're 1-30, I believe, under the Hugh Jackson. I like my chances. I'll ride it out as long as Chicago get the win here. I think we're going to be good to go, hopefully.
And BMC, when you say you're riding it out, you're not going to hedge down the back half of the season here?
No.
All right, ride it out, buddy. All right, Ian, what do you got for the NFL here?
Yeah, hedging is for Mark Cullen, home hardware gardening expert. Okay, it's not for sports bettors. We're talking about if you like something good enough, stick with it, roll with it, go right till the end. That's what I say, especially with a bet like that. Cleveland, do we really trust them to win a football game at this point? I'm not sure I do. When I look at a bet against team right now, I hate to throw Seattle in there, and I don't love laying 5 with Dallas, but I'm having a hard time right now with this Seattle Seahawks football team right now at this point. I mean, that was just an absolute debacle, start to finish, last week against the LA Rams. Nothing went right. There's not one phase of the football game you can hang your hat on if you're Pete Carroll in preparation for this game and say, oh, here's something we did good. last Sunday, even though we didn't get the scoreboard result we wanted. There's nothing. It was a complete disaster in all areas. Defense was horrible. Offense could barely move the football beyond midfield, except for the one touchdown drive they got in garbage time. And the special teams, let's bring that up, because that is always an underrated, undervalued element of football. Good and bad special teams. That's about as bad a special teams display as I've seen in quite some time from Seattle last week. Rams consistently getting good field position in Seattle territory, in plus territory all game, because nobody could cover a damn kick. I mean, it was just absolutely brutal to see the Seattle Seahawks just absolutely shit the bed at home, a place where it's supposed to be, oh, it's impenetrable here, the 12th man. Well, the 12th man got humbled in a real big way last Sunday, and I'm not sure I trust Seattle to get up off the mat. Then you got guys squawking at one another in the post-game scrum after the game, getting into it a little bit. That's not a good locker room dynamic that I want to see going into a big game in a big spot like this on the road against the Dallas Cowboys, in a huge game with playoff implications for both sides. I've got concerns with Seattle right now, big-time concerns. You get your doors blown off by the LA Rams at home, following up a bad loss on the road against Jacksonville. I'm starting to wonder if the wheels are starting to fall off this Seattle team a little bit. I don't trust them in Big D here this Sunday.
And Donnie, a follow-up to that, do you think Pete Carroll's lost the Seahawks here?
Well, I mean, when you play with that powder keg, and again, cyclical in the NFL, I mean, the great part about it is it's really like a 2, 3, 4-year league at most. If you have that star quarterback a la Brady, Russell Wilson, where you can hang on and, replenish guys on defense and offense, but you're seeing it sort of come to the end of its run because there's a lot of outspoken guys, and I don't care about off the field or on the field. They're very competitive in Seattle, and they're not used to things not going right. And that's 2 straight weeks they got. I mean, don't even look at the final score in Jacksonville. Jacksonville put it on the Seattle Seahawks, and then the Rams in one of those last gasp efforts up in Seattle saying, hey, we're Seattle, we always win at home. They get throttled. Now you see the true Seattle Seahawks come out here because technically, is there still a chance they can make the playoffs? Yes, there is. But this is another tough matchup going on the road. But you're right. Looking at Pete Carroll overall in the NFL, I mean, it's not like hockey where, in the room, it just, after 2 to 3 years, it just gets stale almost no matter who the head coach, quote, head football coach is. As long as you have Russell Wilson out there, Seattle's going to be a good football team moving forward. Pete Carroll's getting up there, but I don't see him going anywhere. But sometimes it does run a little bit thin. One of those older football teams already set in their ways, and you can see some of those pieces coming off the mantle now as they're getting beat weekly.
Yeah, I agree with you, Donnie. The NFL is more of a quarterback league where college football is more, I think, influenced by the head coach. I mean, Jeff, I know you know a lot about this situation. What do you think? Does Pete Carroll lost the team?
Yeah, I've mentioned that to Donnie on our show. I mean, you look at the last couple weeks with this team. I mean, you got all sorts of things going on. It seems like he has no interest in dealing with it. It's always like, oh well, he's it's kind of like the dad that never wants to punish his son. I mean, his son just keeps doing stuff and saying, well, he'll grow out of it. Pete doesn't seem like he has much backbone. I've always felt that about Pete Carroll. He seems kind of lethargic in dealing with anything. It's just like, oh well, they'll figure it out. I mean, you got players possibly trying to go into the stands. You got players fighting each other about what was said on the internet. Most of your secondary's hurt. You just got blown out at home. You never really see him take any sort of stance on anything. It's always, well, we'll get it figured out. We're wake up and get your team in order here because, like Ian said, they got a big game this weekend, and you got Ezekiel Elliott coming back, who looks like he's on a warpath. Yeah, it's definitely concerning if you're a fan of that team. They're seemingly kind of crumbling at the wrong time.
Yeah, that is the Sunday night game. Seattle, opened up catching 2.5. Now it's up to 4.5, 5 at most shops, actually.
Drew, it's 4:25. 4:25 p.m. Eastern, that game, Seattle-Dallas. It's the late afternoon window game on Sunday, Christmas Eve. No Sunday night game on Christmas Eve. 2 Saturday games. We got a 1 and 4 o'clock slate on Sunday. That's on the 4:25 p.m. Eastern window, Seattle-Dallas, but no Sunday night game this week because of Christmas Eve. And there's 2 games on Christmas Day, Monday.
Good catch, Ian. You know why they're doing that? What is that, for the Hawaii Bowl?
Yeah, Hawaii Bowl's got to get the spotlight. Houston, Fresno, are you kidding me? Let's go. We're excited for that. Can't wait. My boy, Orlando Steinhauer, coaching up a great defense there at Fresno State. We miss him with the Hamilton Ticats. We miss him.
I got to ask how many,
did a great job
how
there.
many times you've mentioned he was a CFL coach? You've literally mentioned that every time we talk about Fresno.
Because I
He
miss the
loves
guy.
Facts
Great
matter.
coach in
Facts matter.
Hamilton. That's my hometown team. I got to shout him out.
Donnie, if I said it at 20 and a half, Ian mentioning that about Fresno
It's
State, would you
definitely
take the over under?
Ty, he's on the payroll for the Tie Cats, so I mean it's par for the course, right?
They got a big
Means they should be
marketing
paying me
budget,
after the
don't they?
shit they had this year. Yeah.
He's like a
Should be
state
paying me.
policeman has a quota at the end of the year. He's got to fill it. I mean, he's got to get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, it's getting late. Yep, fourth quarter's getting late.
No, but props to you, Ian, man. You called that Fresno State bet onside pretty early in the season, if I remember right.
And I did
Hey,
think
but
their
guys,
defense would be better. I didn't expect that from them this year. Not like that. But great job by them. Unbelievable job.
Guys, one thing I wanted to bring up in the NFL was this: is it a catch? Is it not a catch? And because so much money changed hands, it went from Pitt in the over to New England in the under. Not to mention New England's win total was affected by this catch or not a catch. Just want to go right around the horn real quick. Do you think it was a catch or not a catch? Ian Cameron, start us off.
There's a catch. It's a catch by a human being's brain and just ability to watch with his eyes. That's a catch. But unfortunately, by the letter of this dopey rule that's in play, it's not a catch. So that's exactly what the problem is. It is a rule problem. It's one of the many, many rule problems that the National Football League has. Rule problems that we're waiting and waiting and waiting for them to fix, and they've done fuck all to fix them. And that's a concern. They need to start getting their heads together. Let's start thinking a little bit and fix some of this crap, because we saw it last weekend, folks. Some of these calls, that catch call, the absolutely bogus BS Monday Night Football call of defenseless receiver penalty that was called in that game, which was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's exactly what Mike Mitchell, the safety, was ranting about. Andy Dalton threw a bad ball. He goes down low. He gets flagged for defenseless receiver. Same thing happened there, except replaced Andy Dalton with Jameis Winston that night in that Atlanta game. It was still a bogus call. It's ridiculous. There's so many rule issues, penalty issues plaguing this league, making fans frustrated, making fans really at this point want to tune out. And it's not people making up their stories or their own imagination. It's not a figment of their imagination. People are getting to the point of getting sick of some of the rules in this league that they're not watching as much. Maybe not completely tuning out the NFL, but they're not watching as much. Things have to get fixed, and they got to get fixed in a hurry as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and Jeff, what do you think? What was it a catch or not? And also, I mean, I kind of agree with Ian. I think the NFL might be losing out on casual fans. All this, technical issues. It's getting away from the actual sport of football. What do you got?
No, I said that. We've anchored that sentiment. At least I have for a while. I mean, I had the Steelers. We were watching this game live. It was the betcast. I had to basically go through the pitfalls of the roller coaster in this game. Yeah, listen. I mean, do I think it was a catch? Sure, I do. But unfortunately, the rules in this league, it wasn't. We really need to get to the bottom of what is and what isn't, because no one knows. Everyone from the owners to the refs to the fans, nobody knows. The players don't know. It's just ridiculous. It's not even that. It's the calls that are made, the targeting stuff that's not targeting, the fact that you can't review that stuff. It's everything. And the fact that Gabe Morency and I talked about this, the age of the refs. I mean, these refs are like 65 years old reffing the game. I mean, how are they? I mean, you got a piece of paper you're judging on whether it's a first down or not. I mean, have you ever heard of like an electric like leveler or something? Like what do you what is this league? I mean, it's tacky, it's cheap, it's not good, and you're giving people first downs through stuff like that. It is unwatchable. One of the chatters mentioned that when you have refs that are 65 years old. I mean, you look at Steratore during that whole thing. I mean, he's smiling like he stole something and got away with it. It's pathetic. And Roger Goodell seems to just sit there and watch and not do anything about it. So yeah, they had a bad weekend, terrible weekend.
Yeah, actually, big man, I didn't think about that. You bring up the, kind of the chains and the first down issue. How outdated is that? Everybody jumps on baseball for having umpires call balls and strikes. The first down markers are pretty ridiculous in football. How is that not kind of, taking the technical advances of is it a first down or not with a chip in the football or whatever? It's kind of crazy to think. But yeah, Donnie, any follow up to close us out on this subject?
Yeah, a couple things on that. The rule is so bad in the NFL on the catch that it's written correctly because now you know exactly when you watch what a catch is and not a catch is. Now, we can all debate what it actually is in real life. If you're playing with your friends and you catch the football, we can see it. But the rule is now written so clearly that it's such a poor rule that it's easy to see. The minute that his knee touched down, he crossed the goal line and, the ball moved. You knew right away it was going to be an incomplete pass. We were all just waiting that extra 3 minutes so we can get shocked again, even though we knew it wasn't. Now, the one thing that's interesting when you're looking at coaching in the NFL, take for Bill Belichick, for instance. He schools his players each and every year and says, just like you're fumbling a football, you will be benched if you reach out for the goal line. Now, if you're Jesse James, or whoever the tight end was, it's slipping my mind, for Pittsburgh, who caught that football, goes down at the one. Bro, catch the ball and go down at the one, you win the football game. If you don't reach the ball over, you're going to win the football game. Hey, Derek Carr, you freaking moron, at night, what are you doing running the football and throwing it into the end zone? If you go out of bounds at the one, you win the football game. Unless there's no time on the clock, like Pittsburgh had with Baltimore a few years ago, where you catch the ball and you have to reach it out on 4th down just to see if you can survive. If these guys just go down and don't reach for the end zone, they all win their football games. Belichick nails it into your head. You reach out, you're going to be on my bench. Second point about the actual chain gang here. The NFL has actually said it multiple times. They don't want to change it because they want the drama of the chain gang coming onto the field. It's like that added little spectacle. And, all press for the NFL is good press. You wake up in the morning, everybody's furious that they used an index card. I got to laugh out of it. It's ridiculous they used it. But how many bumps on social media and TV did they get from that chain gang ruling? All press is good press.
Yeah, I could see that drama thing, Donnie, but I can remember as far back as high school football, watching these guys with the chain just kind of guess on 1st down where it is and plant that, where the marker is ridiculous. So when you start measuring an inch or two, you got to go back to 1st down when they first mark it. They could be a half a foot off and nobody would even know.
No, it's not. They have the little orange marker that goes down on each one of the pylons there. So it is pretty exact there, but it's very rare that you're going to see a football almost line up with that's one out of every million that they got there. It was hilarious to watch, and it was a huge point in the game because if they don't get that, it wasn't like it was the first quarter on like a 4th and goal and you didn't get it, or like a 1st and 10 on the 20-yard line. That might have decided somebody's playoff fate, which is millions and millions of dollars. Your coaches could get fired. You don't get a home playoff game. You don't make it into the playoffs. A lot was actually riding on that, which was interesting.
I wouldn't mind seeing the NFL get first down line technology. It's like what soccer does with the goal line technology. First down line technology. If they pass that first line, maybe you buzz into the referee's ear. Okay, 1st down, on you go. No chains anymore. I know we're laying off people if we do that, but hey, maybe something's got to be done in that regard. Yeah.
Jobs, Ian. But guys, hey, let's break down a game in the NFL. 1:00 on Sunday. We got the LA Rams versus the Tennessee Titans. Looks like the Rams 6.5 now. Been bought up, all open 6. Now some 7 showing up on SBR odds right now. We got 49.5. The total's what it opened. Down as low as 47.5, 48s as well on the total. Guys, let's go right around the horn. Donnie, Mr. Football, Mr. NFL, you want to start us off? LA Rams, Tennessee, how you looking to bet it?
Yeah, come on, Tennessee. What are we doing with our season here? You dropped back-to-back games, albeit on the road, but overall, the 2 bad football teams with San Francisco and Arizona. You have everything to win and get into the playoffs, and you can't seem to beat the bad teams. Well, if you're the Tennessee Titans now, good luck, because now you got the good teams coming up. I believe it's Jacksonville to end the season, and of course this week with the LA Rams. If you're looking at the Rams right now and you want to take a 1-week snapshot, there was no more dominating performance this entire year in the NFL than what the LA Rams went up to did in Seattle last week and absolutely pummeled them, and now you're getting that aftershock. What I mean by that is this game, if the Rams go up and maybe 1-point game, or maybe they even lose the game to Seattle, this line's going to be nowhere near 6.5 to 7 with Tennessee being at home. But it's one of those concepts that you say, do you want to step in front of the Rams when they're rolling? There's still a lot to play for the Rams. They still want to clinch that division, put that, stranglehold on it and get into the playoffs. They're tough right now, but yes, they are going on the road. They are going to lay the 7 points there. Most people looking at the Rams, oh my God, one of the toughest teams. Who's going to stop them in the playoffs? Hey, somebody stopped them last week and beat them by over a touchdown. I forget the team that actually beat the Rams in their home place, so they are not invincible. But this game is going to be a good one. It's going to come down to how bad do the Rams want it? How bad do they focus? Because last week was a major hurdle for the Rams. You're finally moving on and going up the ladder saying, we can win these big football games when they matter and win it on the road. This is another step for them. overall betting wise, I'm probably not going to be involved with this, but laying 7, if it gets there on the road, is a tough task, even though I know how good the Rams are. But let's not forget, folks, the Titans are playing, scratching and clawing everything now to try to get into the playoffs. They're going to put up a fight in this one.
Yeah, Titans got a lot to play for. Big man, what do you got on Titans Rams?
I mean, I think Donnie kind of echoed a lot of the sentence that I would have. I mean, Rams heading on the road here, Titans really fighting at this point. You look at the playoff picture in the AFC. I mean, you're in the wild card, but you have teams breathing down your neck right now. I mean, Baltimore, and all these other teams.
Buffalo,
Even
yeah, a
maybe
lot of
the
them. Yep.
yeah, right, right, Chiefs. There's a lot of teams right up at that 8-6 mark. But I don't trust Tennessee. I haven't all year. Their offense is just been very average. I thought it'd be a lot better with, obviously with Mariota and with obviously adding Corey Davis and some of the other pieces. But they've been fairly disappointing. I thought they'd kind of run away and have a great year in the AFC South just because it wasn't very good initially. But it's weird because you usually think they're a really good offensive team and struggle defensively. They've actually been good defensively lately. If they can get some stops in this game, which listen, they have the 25th worst pass defense in the league. I'm a little concerned with that against this high-powered Rams team. I got to be real though. Tennessee looks like a decent play. If I can get a solid 7, that would probably be the play I'd make here. Tennessee's just fighting for too much. I feel like Mariota will basically take the reins in this one and keep them in this. They really need this game bad. Rams on the road at some point are going to slip up. It might be here.
Ian, do you agree with Big Man taking it with the Titans?
I won't be. But at the same point in time, LA Rams are certainly a team that the spot's a little dubious for them here this week. You're off 2 big games. Philadelphia, you lost that one, came back, and you put everything into that game. Seattle, 42-7. That was as satisfying a victory as a victory can be for this Rams team. So after a huge win, you're loving it. You've basically got firm control pretty much of the division. Now you're going on the road, coast to coast, playing this Tennessee team. Here. Well, not quite coast to coast, but you're moving 2 time zones over, playing this Tennessee Titans team. It's a concern, laying this many points on the road. There's no question about that. But the Rams have been good on the road, 6-1 straight up, 5-2 against the spread, 7 road games this year. This is a team I've liked to back over the total as well, and I did that last week against Seattle, and I did that the week before against Philadelphia. Cashed 2 straight over tickets with the LA Rams because their offense is very good. Jared Goff, Todd Gurley's a completely different running back under this a competent head coach who knows a thing about offense, which Sean McVay does, which Jeff Fisher did not. And you see the difference that's made here with the LA Rams offense. But I do think their defense is still just a little bit overvalued, a little bit overrated. They were great last week, no question, but Seattle's got no offensive line. If you can downgrade them to Russell Wilson having to scramble for his life to make plays. They don't do much on offense, and the Rams were able to do that. So I question the spot, but I will tell you this right now about Tennessee, and I cashed in against them last week with San Francisco. I don't want the Titans. This offense is broken. Not bad. It's broken. Okay, Mike Mularkey and Terry Robisky are not going to make a quarterback better. They'll make a quarterback worse. Terry Robisky, how is this man an offensive coordinator in 2017 football? This guy was coaching 30 years ago, and he wasn't very good. 10 years ago when he got a job as a head coach, he wasn't very good. He's going to be a good offensive coordinator now. Marcus Mariota is not developing. He is not. He's not progressing. He's regressing. The numbers are all down. Yards per attempt passing down. Touchdown numbers down. Interceptions up. Look at last year's numbers. 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. This year, 12 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He's a bad quarterback, Mariota, right now, or at least a mediocre one. And I think the coaching or the lack of it is killing this guy right now in Tennessee. You put him with a competent mind on the offensive side of the football, he's probably going to have a nice season. But he's got Mike Mularkey and numbnuts Terry Robisky working with him on his side. Good luck with that. And we're seeing the results right now with Tennessee. I don't love the spot for the Rams, but I have a hard time trusting this Tennessee offense right now. It really looks bad. It really does. And coaching, a big reason why.
Hey, and Jeff and Donnie, I just want to get your quick thoughts on Mariota. Former Heisman Trophy winner so far in the NFL. How would you grade his performance? And would you be buying on Mariota going forward? Or do you think, his future isn't that bright? I mean, Jeff, what do you think?
Well, I think Ian makes a good point with the fact that if you look at who the coaches are there, I mean, Mularkey and Robisky are I mean, they're not who I'd want to lead my young quarterback. But he's had some injuries to deal with. I still think he's a pretty good quarterback. I mean, it's like I said, it's very hard to find a good quarterback in this league. Look, has he been as good as I think people thought he would be? I don't know, probably not. But I mean, he's still only in his third season, and it's been a shortened career so far. I'd be interested to hear what Donnie says because him and I obviously, we were hoping that the Eagles go after Mariota. Obviously, they didn't, and it ended up working out for them. But I don't know. I mean, he was a system guy at Oregon. He comes to the league; it's a little different, and people are a lot faster, a lot bigger, and he hasn't had real good coaching. But yeah, I don't mind him. I mean, he hasn't thrown the ball particularly well, but I still think he'll get it going. I mean, he'll keep adding weapons there, and he's a lot better than probably 70% of the quarterbacks in the league. So yeah, I think he's okay.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in
Yeah,
quickly. Marcus Mariota can still be a good NFL quarterback. He just has to get outside of this Tennessee play calling. It's been bad. Like, if you watch the plays being called and run in Tennessee this year, it's been horrendous. I think he just needs to get out of this coaching system, and he can maybe have success elsewhere, get new coaches in Tennessee, whatever. He can be a good quarterback, just not now with the people he's working with on this coaching staff.
Yeah, there's still a lot of talent at the top of that draft, that 1-2 punch. Winston's going to have a long future in the NFL. So is Marcus Mariota. The only thing I question about it is you try to make familiarity with your quarterback, right? You go back to the Oregon days. What made him special? The read option and the zone read game. Now, in the NFL, you can't come out here, which is why Colin Kaepernick's not in the NFL. You can't just run read option or zone option. You're going to get your quarterback killed, and you have seen that Mariota has been banged up, but he's a pretty good thrower of the quarterback. The one thing I do question is the one thing that made him dominant in college. And I know a lot of that stuff doesn't translate over, but this does in the NFL, a little bit of tempo. Why is Marcus Mariota running the 5th slowest offense in the NFL that's built on just pounding the ball up the middle? I mean, Henry's a good running back, don't get me wrong. DeMarco Murray is good, but wouldn't he look better with like a scat back, speed back? Can you imagine him running read option with like a Shady McCoy out there, just that dominant 1-2 punch where he only has to pull the football out there maybe 1 or 2 times a game for 10 yards on the ground to keep the entire defense at bay and run a little tempo with the kid. This is what he's built for. If you're going to slow it down and slog it down with Marcus Mariota, he's not going to be successful. You don't have to run 100 miles an hour. You don't have to run the K gun like the Buffalo Bills used to do, or 5 wide down in Houston back at the old Oilers. Just give him a little bit of tempo to work with. You get a first down. Let's hustle up. Let's not go huddle. Let's let the kid run his offense.
Such an amazing
Rashawn in
point,
the chat
Donnie.
box bringing
Donnie,
up Mariota
fantastic.
to Arizona would be
Fantastic point by Donnie. Fantastic point. Because what's Marcus Mariota? What did he come from? Oregon. You think he wouldn't be comfortable running an up-tempo offense? It would be a hand-in-glove fit. Holy goodness. That's a great point. They should do that, but are you going to count on these two guys, Malarkey and Robisky, to come up with that kind of thought process? I sure don't.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, look at what he had in Oregon with. Like, was Oregon running like 300-pound sloggers up the middle? No, it was a wide-open offense. You can take some of those schemes to what's going to fit what Marcus Mariota likes to do, but he needs a speed back there to make it all work. It's so much easier for you to do. It's amazing in the NFL. Like, if Baker Mayfield comes to the NFL next year, are you going to sit him down and say, you know what, Baker, you're going to throw the ball, 10 times per game and make sure you hand it off? No, the kid's a wheeler and dealer. Let him play to his strengths, and you'll win football games and he'll improve.
Donnie, preaching, man. Great NFL talk, guys. We got college football and college basketball coming up as long as best bets. If you're liking the content, please give us a thumbs up. Ian Cameron, we got 60 seconds for you. NHL, what do you got? I mean, I know Vegas, that they're making some money now again. Let's go 60 seconds of Ian Cameron.
Yeah, just before we get to hockey, one last point on Tennessee. I think if they miss the playoffs, I said it in the chat, I think Mike Malarkey and Terry Robisky could both be gone, and I certainly hope they're both gone. Because if they miss this playoffs with the kind of record they had a few weeks ago, that's a travesty. But hey, I hope they miss the playoffs because I'd like to see those two guys get a pink slip. But nevertheless, hockey, it's a situation where the Vegas Golden Knights have taken over this sport in terms of the headlines, in terms of the excitement, the interest. What they're doing right now is remarkable. This is now a 22-9 expansion franchise in their first year of existence that has knocked off pretty much every good team in this league known to man over the course of the season. Tampa Bay, last night, Pittsburgh, Chicago, St. Louis, Nashville, Dallas. I mean, how many other good teams can they go through? Well, they haven't played Washington yet, but they will, and watch them beat them too, or some of these other top-notch foes in the league. Vegas has passed every single test so far, guys. They have. And it's at the point now where it would absolutely be a collapse of epic proportions for this year one franchise to miss the playoffs. This is a stunning development. I didn't see it coming. I thought this team could be competitive, win a few games, maybe be a little bit better than people thought, but to be a playoff team and certainly one of the top teams in the NHL, which their record says they are right now, this is not something we saw coming. This is everything to do with George McPhee, the GM, who was a great hire from day one, Gerard Gallant, who is an even better hire as the head coach of this hockey team, and getting a roster of players here in to Vegas that could get the job done and that could score goals, play defense, getting Fleury in net, and put it all together. It's worked. Great to see. And I don't think it's a fluke at this point. I think this is something that can continue for the duration of the year.
All right. Thanks, Ian. Hey, college basketball. Jeff. Find him on Twitter at Jeff Nadeau. Great follow during college basketball season. One of the best minds in the sport. What do we have on Saturday, Jeff? We had 5 ranked teams losing to unranked teams, maybe even more. I mean, what did you see this past weekend that you think you could use in the betting markets going forward?
Well, I think in the betting markets going forward, I think you have to really look and continue to look at what Arizona State's done. I mean, this team is, I think at this point, legitimate. I mean, and again, I know it doesn't have a lot to do with last week, but you look at the last week, I mean, they've beaten Kansas in Kansas, beat an SEC team in Vanderbilt. Going forward, I've said it before and I'll say it again. They are very, I think at this point, Arizona's had struggles. Now Alonzo Trier's out for the future for a little bit here coming up. USC's having major problems. They just lost last night to Princeton as 14-point favorites. UCLA has major problems. Same with Oregon. They can't seem to get people healthy, and they're young to begin with out there. Lost a lot with graduation. I touted this team at 100 to 1, and I told people to get on them. They're third in the country now. They're not going anywhere. They have 4 guards that are absolutely fantastic. They have young talent. They have senior talent. Romello White's a great player down low. You pair him with Daquan Lake. You pair that with a great coach in Hurley. I think this might be a year for Hurley to really make a big run in this tournament and in this league. I mean, the time is now for them. I mean, they have a great opportunity here coming up. I also saw, obviously in person last week, Villanova is the best team in the country right now. Duke's very good. They're teams that are very good, but Villanova, with just the way they play together, it's just unbelievable. Jalen Brunson is probably, look, all around, he might be the best player in the country, maybe other than Trae Young. I mean, he's a fantastic point guard. Spellman's back healthy. He can go out and pick and pop and play down low. Defensively, they're the best I've ever seen them under Jay Wright, and they play fantastic together. I mean, they're all into it. They come off the bench. DiVincenzo, he's added a ton to that team. They're a great basketball team. They're a team that it hurts me to see because I hate Villanova, but they have been absolutely fantastic, and they are the number 1 team. Going forward, though, you're going to pay premiums to bet on Arizona State, but again, you should already be betting them. I've mentioned this team for many, many weeks now.
And what's the reason you don't like Villanova? I know you and Donnie were talking about it a little bit. You think they're like kind of elitists in the area?
I don't like Villanova because the general betting public and the general consensus around the United States is Villanova is not a city school. They're not in Philadelphia. They're outside, and basically all the other schools in the city limits, they almost act like they're better than them. Even their fans, they almost act better than everyone else. Think of it like a prep school, kind of. That's kind of how they are. They snub their nose up at everyone. They're too good to come to the city to play. They always win, which is another thing. It's kind of irritating. They got Jay Wright, who kind of is the epitome of Villanova. He looks like someone that go to Villanova. He acts like he would go to Villanova. They just all are the same. They're kind of like Duke in a way. They're kind of hard to root for. They're just, I mean, Donnie, you get what I'm saying. They think they're better than everyone else because they're out kind of on the outskirts. They play you look at the town they play in, it's like a really high class, high end in a way. It's kind of like the Laguna Beach of the East Coast. It's irritating. It's sickening.
Yeah, no, you paint a good picture there, Jeff. Hey, keep it in mind we got best bets at the end of the show. Is there anything on today's card that's catching your eye, Jeff? I mean, is that UNLV game tonight? Are you laying it with them against Mississippi Valley State?
Yeah, I'm in this business. I think you got to remember that you can't remember what happened in the previous game. UNLV gave a bad beat to a lot of people, but we still have to remember they're 8-3 against the spread this year, and they've covered some big numbers. Florida A&M was a big number. This is a really big number, but here's what Mississippi Valley State, statistically, I think they're in the bottom 5 in the country. They're absolutely horrendous. Every year, the SWAC is a dreadful basketball conference. They're 0-11, and they get blown out in every game they play. I mean, they're off a game where they put up 38 points against Grand Canyon University, and you better believe Marvin Menzies didn't like how that game finished. It has nothing to do with the point spread. They just didn't finish well in that game. They need to wake up a little bit, and this is a great team to wake up against. Mississippi Valley State is a Division II side. I mean, I guarantee you could play them against one of the better Division II sides right now, and they'd lose probably by double digits. Am I laying it towards the end of the non-conference season? I'm not big on laying points just because. I mean, how much does UNLV care about this game? If they win by 23, does it really matter? I mean, Christmas is coming up. You get your conference schedule. You don't want to get injured. They'll empty the bench tonight in this game. And you look in the game last night where that was evident. Citadel against Ohio State. Citadel had no business covering that game, but I believe they did late in that game because Holtman took out his starters. You also look at Arizona State. They were laying a big number to Longwood, weren't able to get the job done. It's a lot of points, especially in the late non-conference schedule. But it's hard to envision it really even mattering. I'm not looking to bet the dog in this game, put it that way.
And Jeff, I know on Twitter you're giving out college basketball picks pretty much since the start of the season. How are you doing there?
I'm up 21 units or so on the season.
Damn.
So yeah, it's been a good season. I've enjoyed really cracking on with it. I've tried to stick to a play a day over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and it's worked out. Yeah, listen, now it's time to coast. I'm in the profit. Now it's just trying to add to it and that kind of thing. There is a really good game also, guys. Mid-major, Oakland, Towson tonight. Towson's playing really well. Oakland playing some good basketball. Greg Campy's got a real good team up there. That's a great game on the out-of-conference schedule. So, listen, just sit down, watch the games, and learn everything you can.
Big man on campus. Doesn't Oakland have a big injury, like their best player, ankle injury or something?
No. Oakland's fully healthy. They were kind of dealing with their players with kid gloves. Kendrick Nunn came over from Illinois, and he's a great player. The fact that they brought him in, he was sitting out a couple weeks. And one other thing, Drew, before we move on, a future that might be something you want to look into, SMU, Southern Methodist. I think they have, a real chip on their shoulder this year. They have a little bit of depth now. They just got Jamal McMurray back. McMurray is a transfer from South Florida. He really injects a scoring punch they desperately need on that team. He played at South Florida, did a great job there. They were thinking about redshirting him, but they brought him in to play this year. First game off against Boise State. I think he dropped 16 in that game. That's a kid that when you add him to that team, makes them a much better team. And Drew, they're 42-1 straight up at home over the last 43 games. In conference play, that's going to go a long way.
Good stuff, Jeff. Always great college basketball talk from you. Guys, almost 200 people watching live right now on YouTube. We really appreciate it. Please give us a thumbs up, the like button. We got college football coming intact. Donnie right side, Ian Cameron going to lead us on this. Guys, what's catching your eye this week in college football on the Bulls? We got LT and SMU starting us off tonight. Some interesting coaching angles here with Sonny Dykes coaching on 9 days with the team. That's kind of ridiculous, yet he can coach offense. It will be interesting to see tonight's game. The total's already up to 71. I kind of like the under. I don't know. You guys got any opinion on this game and also the college bowls going forward this week? Donnie, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I don't have too much on this football game tonight. I like these games previous a lot better, but you're right. There is a lot of interesting coaching angles in this one. 71.5 points, say what you want. It's a lot of points, but technically in bowls, usually teams like to go over the total, play a little bit out of pocket. FAU played out of pocket last night, but Akron wasn't a participant at all. That game should have flown over the total. I think it ended up 66.5, 67, somewhere in that range. Not much on this football game tonight, but catching my eye a little bit later in the week. I got to say I'm pretty excited on the 23rd, 223, 224 Army and San Diego State. Line sitting 6.5, even 7 at Sportsbook right now. The interesting thing about the Army Black Knights, you watch every single football game they play in. They're always going to play down to the wire. Both of these teams like to run the football, slow the clock down, and people still still are going to leave the Army Black Knights out in the cold. I can't wait to watch that football game. It probably will be over in an hour and a half, the way both of those teams run the football and not like to spread it out. It's going to be fun to see Rashard Penny give a send-off against a good football team. How much can he run the football? But don't leave Army out in the cold again. They're going to go 3 yards in a cloud of dust. They're really hard to stop. Their head coach Monken is one of those analytics guys in a good way, where Army, who runs the football at a high clip, when they get to 4th and 1, they go for it. How about that? A coach actually using his advantages and his strengths to put the other football team away. Right now, I like Army in that football game.
Donnie, let me come out back at you. San Diego State did defend Air Force pretty well earlier in the season. Would you bring that into effect with the extra preparation time for the option offense?
Yeah, I mean, Rocky Long is a good football coach and a very good defensive football coach. It's an interesting point you bring up. I watched that game and actually lost money on it. That game was in a rainstorm. That Air Force was beating the tar out of San Diego State until they took an hour and a half break and the rain settled down, and San Diego State ended up getting a win and a late cover in that football game. But you're right. It is nice to have those time off. But I just been watching Army all season long, the same way, Jeff's always into the service academies. Army's in every football game. If you want to get high scoring with them, they'll get high scoring with you. If you want to slow it down, they're going to slow it down with you as well. Until I see Army, somebody just absolutely put them away. I was obviously outside of like Ohio State or in Oklahoma. This is right in their throttle right here. So I think they can hang around this football game and set to beat Army by 7. You have to really blow them off the field because they're going to run 10, 11 play drives, 8.5 minutes off the clock. And if they score, it's hard to put that type of a team away.
Donnie, great point with bringing up the atmosphere there in that Air Force game with San Diego State, that rainstorm. I do remember it now that you brought it up. I was just going through looking at the stats, and that can get you in trouble, and that's not how you win. So great point there, Donnie. Ian, is anything catching your eye as far as this week in college bowls?
Well, there's a couple. I think we're going to see. I think UAB is excited to be in this bowl game. At the Bahamas Bowl, from what I've read, I mean, they've had a fantastic turnaround season. You look at this Ohio Bobcats team, and you look at the MAC in general. This is not a conference I'm overly excited about betting on in bowl season, and it's been that way in years past. It's been that way again It's going to be that way again this year. We see Akron absolutely get their teeth kicked in last night by Florida Atlantic. I'm not prognosticating great stuff from the MAC this bowl season. I'm looking at UAB plus the points there in Bahamas. I think Central Michigan's the one MAC team I might consider backing, but against Wyoming as that line continues to creep up, everybody reacting to Josh Allen playing at the quarterback spot. But if anyone's seen Josh Allen play, he's not had a great season for Wyoming. So how excited can we get with that? I think you're going to see points in the South Florida game. An over makes some sense there in that game. If I can get a +3 with Fresno before kickoff on the Hawaii Bowl game, I'd be interested. That team's fantastic. I'll get their defense +3 right now against a lot of different teams. Going down toward next week, there's a bunch. I mean, I think Texas in the underdog role is worth a look next week. How good is Herman in the underdog role? I mean, I think that's something worth looking at. I told you about Purdue last time we talked bowl games here on the show. I'll be looking to back them. I also think that's a high-scoring game against Arizona in that bowl game. When you talk about Jeff Brom coaching up this team, and again, a bright offensive coach, gets time to prepare and practice this offense, get them ready. I think they put a good foot forward on the offensive side of the ball. So those are just some of the things I'm looking at over the next week for betting perspective in the bowl games.
And Jeff, anything real quick on the bowl games that you want to give out to the people? I know we're doing the college bowl game show here shortly, but any quick thoughts?
Yeah. No, I'll definitely leave it to that. Want to let everyone know we got a bowl show coming up here. We're going to be doing over the next several days. Me, Drew, Jimmy, Peter, a couple people. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I will give our plays tonight. I believe, Drew, on the La Tech SMU game in the Frisco Bowl. Gotta love these bowl names. I mean, the last night's bowl name, the Cherry Bundy Cherry Tart Boca Raton Bowl. I mean, got to be a little easier. But no, I'm looking forward to some good spots coming up here.
Cherubundy, no relation to Al Bundy, by the way.
Right. Good point.
Hey, and shout out to that South Florida atmosphere. How about that FAU crowd? Did you guys see that? How many fans in the seats there?
Wanted to mention that I actually took Akron in that game, so I'll admit it. I just thought in that kind of game, there's a lot of points you're giving to a team. But I want to commend Lane Kiffin because early in the year I was pretty was pretty critical of him and that team. I called him the land of misfit toys, and I thought initially they were. I mean, you look at kind of the guys that were involved there. I mean, it just seemed like a concern. And they come out, they lose to Navy, they lose to Wisconsin, and you're thinking, okay, well,
And
maybe
Buffalo.
they'll do what. Yeah, yeah, right. Maybe they'll lose to some of the step up opponents, and maybe they'll get a couple wins and maybe go bowling. But he's done a great job there. I mean, he's kind of a misunderstood guy, but you got to respect what he does. I mean, he's basically brought in a ton of players from everywhere and made them believe in winning in a matter of 3 months, and they did a great job. It's really impressive what he's done there. I agree, though. I mean, the fact that he signed to 2027, for what? I mean, he won't be there after next year probably. But hey, if he does, salute. He's done a great job there. Why not just stay there? It's a nice place to live. You're making a ton of money. You can recruit pretty well. You can win for many. I mean, who knows what he'll do? You never know with Lane Kiffin, but I had to be impressed with when he went for two, up 35-0, and he said, you know what, or 30-3, whatever it was. He basically said, well, yesterday the athletic director pissed me off from the other team. He goes, so talk to him about that. He goes for the throat, and he is what's lost in college football anymore. Most coaches don't do that. Chip Kelly used to do it at Oregon. Not many teams do it. It's all about camaraderie and everything. At some point, you got to send a message. I get sending a message sometimes is a little ridiculous. James Franklin's the king of doing that when it means absolutely nothing. It's just a dick move. But he basically set the tone this year. Don't fuck with Florida Atlantic. And what a team they built. Impressive stuff. That's a coach to me. That is a coach. What Lane Kiffin did this year. You get together a group. You get them to believe in winning. They go out and win on the field. That's impressive. And you got kids like Khalib Woods, who Khalib Woods was involved in an off-campus fight last year. He got kicked off the team. You get kids like that to believe in what you're doing, and turn their lives around. That's everything that's right with football. And I got to give Lane a lot of respect for that. He probably saved a lot of kids because a lot of the kids he was dealing with, were off the deep end a little bit. They were going through some things. That's a coach to me, and he's done a great job of that.
He's tried to turn around his dirtbag sleazeball image too. Give him credit for that.
You can, yeah, we could call him again, but it's hard to do what he did this year, Florida Atlantic.
He
I mean,
did a great job.
They're not a football. They're not an athletic program in general. That's a place where old people go to retire. I mean, that's what Boca is, and he did a great job.
Yeah, and you can see the atmosphere there is improving there. I mean, how many people were at that game? He'll be able to recruit there if he can keep that up. Hey guys, just real quick, going. Oh, go ahead, Donnie.
No, I was just gonna say the shame of it all. He's gonna Scott Frost that team next year. So enjoy while you got him. You have him one more year, and he's gone. So
take the under the 10 years that'll live out that whole contract.
Take
down
the
there
under
That's
1
not
year.
happening. Yeah.
Just take
under
that.
1
He's
year.
gone
Yeah.
after next year.
Hey, you see they start off with Oklahoma and Norman next year. Hey, right around the table, FAU minus or plus 24.5. Oklahoma. Who you taking?
FAU.
I'll go FAU. I'll go FAU next year. Baker Mayfield's out.
Baker Mayfield's
new regime
gone.
coming in.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
New
Got a
quarterback.
young coach there. Yeah.
Yep.
Let down after
All right,
a playoff appearance. Yep, it could happen. They could
Can I
be in
bet
some
that
trouble.
now?
Maybe 24.5 was too high. Wait, we need to go down to maybe
like
17 or so.
Believe me,
I
they'll
gotta
adjust for
rearrange.
Baker Mayfield.
Hey, why can't they go in and win?
Yeah.
Never know. I mean,
Break
All
it.
right, so at 9.5, are you still taking FAU?
No, I'm out on 9.5. I'm out on 9.5.
I'll take anything over 14. I'll take.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I agree there. Over 2 touchdowns makes sense to me.
All right. Well, good stuff, guys. Hey, we got best bets coming up. I think it's been a great show. NFL, college football, college basketball. Please give us the thumbs up sign. BMOC, what do you got for best bets, man?
Yeah, it's I'm gonna stay away from college. I'm gonna go towards soccer again. I've had some good luck with these. Gave out a nice big winner last week with 3-1. I'm gonna go to the French league. It's Ligue 1, LIGUE 1 in France. It's the top league in the French league. I'm gonna go with Lyon, LYON, Lyon minus 120 against Toulouse. Lyon, one of the better sides in this league. Obviously, everyone's looking up at PSG, which with all their great players, but Lyon's had a great year. Nabil Fekir is a name that he scored goals all year. They're scoring goals for fun. 44 goals in the season. Toulouse is among the worst teams in League One. Small price here. It is on the road, but I'm not too concerned about it. Lyon, every game is a must win, especially if they want to try to catch PSG. I think this is a great spot. You got to win these sort of games right before Christmas. It's a midweek match. Give me Lyon in the French league minus 120 to get the win today against Toulouse.
And you can find that at 5 dimes?
Yep, just look under France. It's going to be under France.
All right. And Ian Cameron, what do you got for best bets, man?
I'll tell you, the last minute I've been scrambling. I was looking at maybe North Texas in college basketball tonight. I was looking at maybe Detroit in the NFL this Sunday, but I'm going to actually go with the hometown boys. Donnie and Big Man are going to love me for this one. We're going to lay almost 10 here with the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football against the Oakland Raiders. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why here. Oakland, to me, that's a home run, last stand type of game last Sunday night against Dallas. We have any faint hopes of the playoffs. We have to win this game. And we look like we're going to win that game. And it's literally fumbled away at the end by Derek Carr. Hit going out of bounds. Ball goes through the end zone. Touchback. They lose that game. Now you're going to go on the road to play this Philadelphia Eagles team. You look at Oakland, the last 3 road games. They beat a bad Miami team in a tough. The Dolphins were in a tough spot. They got killed in Buffalo by 20. They lose in double digits against Kansas City. We're non-competitive. That game was made closer late with garbage points by Oakland. They got drilled in that game in Kansas City. Why not get drilled here? What is there left to do here with the Oakland Raiders this football season? Absolutely nothing. I'll tell you what, the one concern is Philly's defense needs to clean things up. That's not good what I saw from them last week. Blown coverages, not enough pass rush on immobile, at oftentimes Eli Manning. I think you're going to see them clean some things up, tighten some things up. They're still going full bore. I'm going to assume the Minnesota Vikings beat Green Bay on Saturday night, which means Philly still needs to nail down this victory here to clinch the number 1 seed in the NFC. Nick Foles, to me, I'm fine with him as my quarterback here against a bad Oakland defense. And this is a bad defense. They've been bad all year. He can make plays against them. I just don't know Oakland going west to east, how much is left in this tank after that loss. They've been bad on the road. They've been blown out double-digit losses in 2 of their last 3 road games. I think it can happen here. We're going to lay it 9 with Philadelphia. The Eagles fly. Next Monday night on Christmas Day night. That's my best bet.
Donnie, I have a feeling you like that.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, there's a lot of games on the board, and I'm going to go right down this pike as well. Now, if you watch what I do during the NFL football season, I hate the first 2 weeks of the NFL. I equally hate the last 2 weeks of the NFL. There are so many moving parts that are going on right now in the NFL. Who's in, who's out, who has a chance, who doesn't have a chance, who doesn't even give a damn if they're going to play a game. You know, back in the day with the British, taxation without representation. A lot of these teams that have a lot to play for, they're getting taxed. And the teams that aren't representing in the playoffs, you're seeing that shift there. There's a lot of spreads out here that are getting kicked up 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 points just because some teams don't have a lot to play for. Ian brings up a good point. If you're going to bet the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night, you better wait until that Minnesota game is over, because if Minnesota, as now Aaron Rodgers, is retired for the year, they should win that football game. The second thing, keep an eye on Oakland. If they win their last 2 football games, if they win, there's still under a 5% chance for them getting in the playoffs. All intents and purposes, Oakland should be out of the playoffs by the time this game even starts. So now let's get into the game itself. Amari Cooper, banged up, high ankle sprain. Is he going to want to come east with a game with nothing to play for and maybe mess up that ankle where he's going to need surgery? He's probably not going to give it a go. Secondly, Michael Crabtree late in that football game, he's in concussion protocol. If the Oakland Raiders are out of the playoffs, is Michael Crabtree going to play in this game? Donald Penn, the left tackle, who's played every single game since 2007, went down with an injury. It all factors in here for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was great last week that the Giants sent the Eagles to the brink. Jim Schwartz is running the riot act over the Philadelphia Eagles right now, where nothing is good enough. If you think you're going to play football like that, we're not going to win. So instead of going with Ian's point here on taking the full game -9, I like the first half. Even though there's not a line out yet, as long as you're getting 6.5 or less, this team is going to come out blazing on fire. Let's not forget either, guys. The Eagles haven't had a home game in over a month. Now finally coming home on Christmas, the Oakland Raiders should be out of the game by kickoff. The Eagles should still need this football game. They'll jump on the Oakland Raiders and be up double digits by the half. Take the Philadelphia Eagles first half, anything 6.5 or under for Monday Night Football.
All right, Donnie, bringing in taxation without representation on the Philadelphia Eagles first half, -6.5 or less. For grading purposes, we'll lock them in at whatever Chris opens the first half at.
Hey,
Ian
Drew?
Cameron on, yeah.
Double Eagles, yep.
I got a
Yep.
funny story on the other day on the soccer show. All of us agreed on our best bet. I'm a little concerned with these two agreeing on their best bets. Little concerned here. Hope they're right.
All right, some concern here from big man on campus. But guys,
No, it's
anything
just
else
always
before we close this out?
when everyone's on the same thing. Because I love, everyone loves the Eagles this week. It's
Jeff, as long as you're not on it, we're going to win this football game.
yeah.
It's
I
been a
hear you.
public-dominated NFL the last couple of years. Why not? Why not another Philly cover here? The public's
Good
cleaned
luck
up in the
laying up
NFL.
points in a game where they might not even matter.
No,
if
that's
the
what I'm saying. You
Vikings
have
lose?
you have to wait to see that Minnesota game. That's the trigger point in this one because I'm also
Right.
factoring in Oakland will be out of it. One of those teams, again, they're coming here on Christmas with nothing to play for, which a team that needs the victory should be a bounce. This should be a bounce game. So we'll see what happens.
I
All
agree.
right, boys, and I'll lock up best bets with the Louisiana Tech SMU under 71.5 at Bet Online. Be careful with this one. I know betting unders in bowl games can be scary, and you might get your face ripped off as far as like each team going above 50. But I just think Sonny Dykes, less than 10 days to prepare. He's keeping the other offense in, so calling plays is going to be an issue. And Louisiana Tech has had quarterback issues all year long. That kid's just not very good. He threw for 100 yards last game out. So I'm going with the under in the SMU Louisiana Tech game, 71.5. You can get that extra half point at Bet Online. BMOC French League, Lyon -120. We got Ian Cameron on the Philadelphia Eagles -9, and Donnie right side first half Philadelphia Eagles -6.5 or less. This has been the SBR betting roundtable. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be back next Wednesday, same time. Thanks.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.